Hello, YouTubers. It's been a while here. So it's been a couple months or almost close to a year. Actually, it's been almost a year since I made a video here. So today I'm going to go over directly with the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9 57-inch monitor. It's 4K monitor. It's advertised as 4K by Samsung, but normally it's because it's using two 4K on the sport sides here. So it's actually technically 4K, but normally they just edit by 8K because 4 by 4, of course, is around 8 in this case. I wanted to make this a follow up video from my previous one. I purchased my first monitor back in October of 2023, but I had to return it due to some high flickering issues going on. So it's been a lot of specific issues with the flickering and all that. After returning back, I took advantage of Black Friday and repurchased it back on November of 2023. And of course, got it for a little bit of a lower price under the 2K in this case. So it wasn't too bad. A year later, I wanted to create a follow-up video, especially for those of you guys who are still wondering if this monitor is still worth the box and if there's any issues. Many complaints of people experiencing flickering or people who came from the previous model of the 49-inch monitor Pixel 1, people complaining about heating issues or the monitor going bad, and basically issues with Samsung's quality. So with this today, I decided to do a follow-up just to basically answer any questions anybody has regarding this specific matter. First of all, I want to thank the audience and anybody here joining or basically joining my channel. Welcome. I am still working with different content. I do apologize. I haven't created much because I created these videos as a hobby, not technically being a streamer myself, and I don't have that much experience. So I do not dare myself to call myself a professional streamer or anything like that. I'm just creating this for hobby and sharing my reviews. From the previous contact, including my first video of my computer build, I created that with my own money. There was no sponsoring whatsoever. And of course, I still am continue to work hard on making sure that I can provide more content based on that. Since I'm not sponsoring, a lot of these things aren't that cheap. I am planning to bring more content soon. My next stop is to build my second computer as a backup used for AI and all the kind of things. Of course, I will be explaining that in the next video. Anyways, going back in here, I am going to directly waste on how this monitor has been so far. All right, guys, just going over a little bit of the aspects of this and the configuration. So far, we got a couple of things in the menu here, still source. Of course, we got pip and BPB and power off, return, and menu. So a lot of my current configuration remains the same. My refresh rate is about 120 just because I'm using the RTX 4090 GPU. And of course, unfortunately, even though this monitor can run up to 240 hertz, my current GPU won't be able to go that far. Fortunately, it's just a limitation or way that it just doesn't allow it to go for, which is fine because I purchased this monitor for intentions to use them for future proof. As hopefully in the next couple GPUs, it will be better. Right now, there's the current 5090s and 5000s GPUs coming out with the latest about 32 gigabytes of RAM, I believe, RAM. And so we're expecting to, they say that's not really a huge matter. Of course, for AI, it definitely is a highly difference on there. So just because I'm using this for like different ways for just gaming and also AI and all that stuff like that. A lot of the stuff here is being about the same. Going and increasing this here. A lot of my configuration remains the same from those who actually did follow my video last year. Couple of things like entertainment, brightness, and all that. It's pretty much about the same as well. Of course, one thing I did change is that compared to last year, is that I decided to keep the HDR tone mapping static instead of active. I do switch it out between active and of course, if you guys notice, it does become very beautiful. Like the whole image, it does intends to be a little bit more brightful. So you can see a little difference that if you turn it off, it just brings out that light out
like removes it out, and then when you set it up to active, it makes it more active, like more vivid on the lighting and all that, which of course I find it to be very useful and very actually excellent in many games that I play with. In some, I normally keep it off, for some I am, because I do have the Windows HDR turn on and all that. So for a case like this here, I have going into the HDR Windows configuration. I have, of course, settings is about most the same here. So for cases like this, I just have mostly most of it enabled. HDR, H video streaming, calibration. It's already calibrated. For those of you guys who haven't calibrated yet, I highly recommend to get the Windows HDR calibration tool. This is to make sure that everything is working fine, exactly matches the amount of luminance and all that you guys are using. So this, if you're getting this monitor, this tool is definitely a highly recommended to have before you guys actually do your final setup in here with the HDR and Windows. Of course, there's other apps and programs you can actually use, and not just the Windows one, because a lot of times Windows apps can be a little bit rated, and there is many of them mentioning Google, things like you can find as well. I keep, if you're using them, of course I set up my preference around to about 55% here, so it's in between already SDR and HDR contact, which I'm pretty contact regarding this. I use this for many things, like including programming and all that. I keep about like when my Windows like screen there about pretty much in one Windows way, and of course I have another monitor for programming reason as well. Since I do both searching and programming, I do it both. Some people normally just do it like an entire screen for when doing programming and coding, which is definitely fine. But I like to just keep it, just because, especially when I'm reading manga and all that kind of, I just love the picture quality and all that. So this monitor so far has done a pretty good job. I haven't experienced any more issues. I'll probably say that one of the things I probably just experienced is just that I will say just a little bit of the cracking like noise like you hear in the back, like what some people say. But I believe based on that, on the information based on all their users and Samsung, is that it's just how the capacitors and all that are heating up, gets hotted, and it's just, it's just a normal process. I haven't seen physically any tearing, which people were concerned about, that it was breaking or tearing from the backside of the motor, but it's actually the condition, and physically it looks actually normal. There hasn't been any problems. There has been a little bit slightly crashes where you're playing a game and you're actually in a process where you are actually playing, and then for some reason things crashes. Not the game, but basically like your motor goes back into SDR, like it switches out from active to static, and then I had to go back and switch it out. So I'm not sure if anybody had this issue. I had it a couple of times. It's not too commonly that happens, but it definitely happened for some games where actually the game is still there. It's just that the screen goes black. It's like the motor or screen itself, it crashes, goes back into the game or Windows, but the game is still active. You just open it up, and of course when this happened, I just go back into the menu and switch it out back from like active to SDR or active to the other previous configuration. So I just go back into picture, and of course I switch it out from active to static, and then static to active, and that will light it up back. Because sometimes when it crashes, you can see it as active, but it goes back into static automatically. So I'll just go ahead and switch it out in this case, or like that. So if I use it as static, I'm going to use an example for the game here for World of Warcraft with an example. So let's test it out, see how you guys see the image difference in this case. All right, guys. So just trying here, for example, on World of Warcraft, there's a little bit of difference here with the game itself. As you guys can see, this is exactly with active already switch in here. If I were to switch this back into just non-active here from static, you guys can see it gets a little bit darker than like that. See, so you guys can see that it does make a little difference here. The image quality is actually really nice. So it's really a very beautiful, like how you can actually be able to follow all the sides here. It's just beautifully amazing. If anybody were to ask me what my experience was from my previous Alienware 34-inch monitor to a super ultra wide monitor like this, I will just say it's phenomenal. It's amazing. It's a great experience because I get more space to be able to look at my Visual Studio when it comes to programming, coding, and then of course when playing games, it's just you feel like you're immersive inside the game and stuff. Like you're part of the game. The image quality is great and the future proof is definitely worth it. So my experience, I will say it's definitely, if you're a gamer guys, it's really, I will say there's just a lot of things you definitely get yourself in, especially if you're into car racing and all that, simulations, airplane, and all that kind of stuff. I will say it's really amazing. There's just no more games I try, and it's really great. And many games now do support this kind of resolutions. So if you guys are worrying about many games not supporting it, many games are supporting it right now. Just like you see some examples here, many of this already supports them by resolutions here. You can always switch it to a different one if you guys need to, but you'll be able to definitely take advantage of that. All right, next up is just a quick YouTube demonstration from a video using HDR 32:9 8K HDR 7680 by 2160 in this case. And again, we're talking about 4K in each side. It is technically not fully 8K you're seeing, but 4K itself. It's just how normally they measure up on each side of the screen. It's like you're looking at each monitor of 4K and 4K. That's totally of 8K in this case. But you guys are normally, of course, seeing actual 4K and stuff. So here is an actual video, a small clip I found. This is already has on the quality. It's already playing 320 pixel HDR-K. There's also just 21. Let's try this one here, the highest one first, and just to take a look at the difference here. Playing this, I'm gonna maximize this video. You guys can see a little bit of the quality and stuff. For here, it's if I'm turning this, it's just the whole monitor size here, so you can see how nice it really looks. If I'm going back here, see, you get a lot to see, guys. It's really a great quality image in here. Okay, so and it has a lot of details, guys. A lot of details, like really good details. Switching into 60 pixels by HDR 4K. Let's try this. So maximize this, and it still looks really nice. So as you guys can see, of course, just one thing to let you guys know, there is not too many videos that support this unfortunately at the moment, but because the super ultra wide monitors is getting really popular, there is going to be probably more in the market. And so I'm sure you guys seen like the new Samsung 49-inch monitor. There is also the OLED one for LG. There's been a lot of bigger super wide, ultra wide monitors being released in the market since last year and all that, the last couple of years, but it's definitely getting even more popular as well. So if I had to say, guys, if you're somebody who is actually somebody into coding, programming, you're somebody who likes to game, especially, and of course, you guys don't mind watching some videos in like pretty much only with like part of the video right, the square, and seeing those black sides there, then this monitor is definitely for you, for sure. Especially if you guys are multitasking, where with your job, and you want to use this for working purposes and all that, it is definitely for you. If you're planning to use this monitor now, for those who's planning to use this monitor for sharing screen meetings where you have to require you to share your screen a lot, and of course you're somebody who doesn't like maybe looking around the side too much, you guys are more like into just not ultra wides, then this may not be for you. Of course, personally, when it comes to looking between left and right, I'm sure you'll be like, okay, do I have to look all left and right like all the time? The answer is actually you get used to it. Personally, as I got this monitor and start using it more and more often, I barely feel like I'm looking left and right, guys, that much. because I feel like I'm immersive to the point that I don't know, my head and body just got used to it. It's like something natural. The first time you get used, you're basically getting used to like moving your head a little bit towards the left. But as you adjust your windows and all that, your tiles from like left and right and all that, there isn't that much you'll be looking at in this case. So it's all that. So you can adjust this. There is many also programs you can use to reorganize your tiles, and also for my end, I use the one that Samsung suggested, which is Easy Setting Box. For this kind of programs, of course, it's actually free. You can download this directly from the Samsung website or search it as well. And of course, when you set it up, you'll be able to actually just set up exactly how you want your monitor to be. You can adjust the grid as well. So that means if you want your monitor to be specifically like bigger than the other side, you can adjust the grid by just dragging here. So if I click adjust, I can definitely adjust things out here. If you guys see, for example, if I were to minimize this, click adjust grid, you see this red line here. This just tells you how much you adjusted to it, and you can just drag it by highlighting, do that. So you can see the whole thing just highlighted that. And when you guys are finished with that, it would normally just save it itself. So the next time that restarts, that your computer restarts, or you need to start the app, it will normally already be saved by default. You guys should be able to use that. There's many other tools that people would like to use better, but I actually been using Easy Settings Box, Easy Box, and I have never had any issues with that. So overall, guys, my experience with this monitor since being with last year, the only again two issues is just that those times when you're playing that kind of crashes and puts you back into non-active on your HDR settings and all that. Of course, again, this doesn't happen every day and all the time, but this happened a couple of times, and it could just be buggy. I am want to let you guys know that I'm also running. I haven't checked previously what the current version, but I know last time when I checked a couple of weeks ago, there was still no updates. So I'm currently running. I was running like the latest version, which is the 10.05.3 version here, which it was actually the latest. Maybe there could be a few things there. What you can always do is to make sure you guys can verify if it's the current version. You guys can just go ahead and visit the Samsung website and definitely check if there's any current updates regarding this. It's always recommendable to check if it's worth not. Personally, when it comes to an update, I like to just Google it up and just try it, because honestly, not all updates are actually really worth it, or there isn't much of any difference. So let's try going into the page here. I go on the Samsung website. Right now the cost from this video is $15.99, almost $1,600 here, so it's actually a little bit lower than when I purchased it back there, which is actually not pretty bad. It's not too bad here. Yeah, it's very good. So what I do now is I look for the, of course, there's the specs in here, and then of course there's also many reviews you guys can check. Okay, I would just go into the support page. There's manual softwares. Okay, and of course right now there is the firmware here. You guys can see software for Easy Setting Box, and then the current files here. In here looks like there is a version of 10.07.0 here. It looks like there is 2 additional upgrades here from my end. What I like to do personally is, if I'm not sure about something, I just type it out there and see what current updates will be in this case here. There is also in Reddit here information about what. Let's double check a couple of things. So today's Samsung release 7 for the new update. Process went smoothly, but I didn't notice any changes in the OSD or any other visible updates. As true, Samsung hasn't provided change log and then unable to offer any information. And then yeah, a bunch of different feedback. People were hoping that some of this update would fix the issue with to enable 240 hertz over HDMI 2.1 on NVIDIA cards. And yeah, some people just say it's a hardware limitation on the graphics card and not monitor and stuff. There's been a lot of controversies in there. Yeah, let's double check. Thanks for the update. So fix out those in here HDR. Use robots to make the pen drive. Alright. It's just most look. And I made the firmware. After that, couldn't get the in the pip modus. I just sure okay, but it's connecting HDR. So this series should change that for since their phone for shoots only. Okay, so based on this, guys, it doesn't seem like there isn't much any difference, much of anything like that. So in the end, they're just probably really maybe not worth it. So the only problem with what I will say, guys, with Samsung and this updates is just that they don't, under change log and things like that, they don't provide any sufficient information as to what the updates were for, what fixes them, what kind of, if were there specific fixes for specific bugs or specific issues reported. I mean, there is unfortunately much found in this for cases like that, but yeah, maybe I may go ahead and give it a shot to upgrade, because maybe, who knows, that may fix the issue that I was mentioning regarding the crashes and all of that, you know, with the HDR from the settings. I will definitely send it here. But anyways, guys, this is pretty much about it. I will keep an update probably in the next couple of months, maybe in the year, if you guys want, with any additional updates or maybe experiences after the next update going on. Maybe see how I'm doing with that. Anybody who has any questions or any kind of feedback or any ideas of what the next content you guys want me to make, please leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. And I just also want to wish you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'm hoping that the next video will probably be somewhere next year, because I only need a few parts left for the next computer build. So hopefully I'll be able to make more content and increase that from there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for you guys' time. Again, wish you guys best holidays. Stay safe and enjoy.